if you ever wondered what Ripley does with all his clothing when he's finished with it, all that branded goods that he gets sent, once he's worn it out a bit, he sends them to Hublot and hopes that one day Hublot too will make a watch out of his old sweaty running gear. Because Ripley's well done, by the way, Ripley. I saw you got a good time in your half marathon or whatever it was you were running in the other
I
day.
did, got third, wasn't feeling well, still a bit under the weather, but got third, and
Yeah, there you go.
I've
There
never
you
been
go.
so happy
Well,
with third. It sounds like I did so well, but I really need to clarify that the first two place guys were so incredibly fast. I did it in an hour 38, and the guy who won it did it in an hour and 10. So the guy who beat me by just one spot between us beat me by 28 minutes. So, there is
Still an
that.
achievement.
so
Still
no matter
good.
what was
Still
so
very
what you're
good.
saying is no matter what you were saying and how fit you were feeling, third was all it was ever going to be.
I could have been feeling 100% and have had carte blanche to take any performance enhancing drugs. I was not going to beat that first place man. It's an awkward podium. There's like two guys who are pretty much racing each other the whole half marathon. And then there's me who's just like happy to be
Wearing a
there.
Tudor shorts.
Yeah, happy to be there and was worried about the chafing on my nipples. Like that was.
I think you could say, I think you're like first of the amateurs. That's a claim.
First of the amateurs. There we go. Right, well, let's look at this. This from Hublot, the Novak Djokovic Hublot Big Bang Unico watch made out of tennis balls and Novak's sweaty clothing. Ripley, tell us a little bit about this.
So, um, Novak's been Djokovic has been a Hublot ambassador since 2021, I believe. He's obviously had a lot of success since then. Last year, 2023 was a big year for him. He won his 24th Grand Slam title, which gives him the most of anyone ever. Before becoming a Hublot ambassador, he was with Seiko, and that partnership yielded numerous different Novak Djokovic limited or special editions. This is his first one with Hublot. And so what they did was they made an ultra light version of the Big Bang Unico chronograph. And then here's kind of where it gets more interesting. So it's super light. The case has been kind of skeletonized out to help it achieve that. It's largely made of aluminum structural components, but then the outer part, that blue camo looking thing, is a carbon composite, which is made using a sustainable resin, and shirts and rackets that he wore and used during the 2023 season that have been shredded down and mixed with some like glass fibers to make this hard carbon composite. So it's very lightweight, that uses stuff that he used. Now, because it's supposed to be lightweight, the whole watch, even with one of its straps, the most lightweight option, the whole watch weighs less than a tennis ball. So the movement structural components are aluminum as well, rather than plated brass. And then rather than using sapphire, it uses Gorilla Glass, which is like what we know from smartwatch screens. It's quite a bit thinner, or lighter rather, even though it's not quite as scratch resistant. So it's obviously going to be a limited edition because he didn't wear that many shirts or rackets throughout the last season. I think there's like 25 shirts, 32 rackets went into this batch. So it's a 100-piece limited edition. It is over $50,000, but not only is it a novel material, but actually the watch itself is tangibly different than your average Big Bang chronograph.
Yeah, so is it a hit, a miss, or maybe 1, 2, 3, go? Hit. Oh, 4 hits. Nico, whoever Nico is not going to like us giving an Hublot a hit. I really like this. I'm not sure I'd pay $50,000 for it, but I think the story holds together. I think the story and the design and the guy, I think it holds together. Ripley, why would you give it a hit?
Well, okay, so to start with, Hublot can't do anything too outlandish, garish, or flagrant, in my opinion. This is the brand where them and Jacob and Co. can do kind of whatever they want, and they're not going to be contradicting themselves or making something so out of character and untasteful. It becomes fun at a certain point. But I think this does a good job of sort of playing into the world, giving you something that makes it feel like it's a little bit more special than just a LE colorway or something like that. It's functionally something that's supposed to be lightweight that could fit into this environment. It uses stuff that the man himself actually wore and played with. I think it does as in a vacuum, I think it's a cool watch. But then when you take a step back and look at it in terms of what it's trying to accomplish and how it plays into this partnership, I also think it does a lot well. And to me, this feels exponentially more special than some random co-signed watch produced with some ambassador that has their signature on the case back and some color dial variation or something like that. I think this does a lot right as far as what a collaboration of this nature should be. And while I'm not going to be paying $50,000 for it, I think it's cool to see Hublot do its materials thing and kind of take a little bite out of the Richard Mille pie as far as the ultralight sports watches.
Ariel?
The most interesting part of this watch for me was the technical story about trying to make it lightweight, because even though there is no real world need for a watch like this to be that lightweight, at least there was sort of a cogent story behind why is the case cut up? Why did they use this material that's sort of not a traditional watch case material and stuff like that? And connecting it with this celebrity of sports makes sense because, again, as you mentioned, that's worked in the past for a lot of watches, Richard Mille, some other Hublots. I think the part I could have actually left out was about the seemingly trivial, let's put his rackets and shirts and stuff in there as part of the material. I think it actually cheapens the story because I don't see it in like F1 or, racing yachts or something like that. They're like, oh, let's just take some sentimental crap and throw it in there. Like that's not how performance is achieved. So I feel like that confuses it. I understand that that's like the icing on the cake and you're in a retail environment. Like, do you know that part of his stuff is in it? They're like, really? And maybe that like helps sell it. But like, I felt like that just cheapened it for me because it's not what I want from this sort of tool experience. And I also like that we have no idea if this case will return. Like, will it come in different colors? Like, is it a one-shot thing? Like, we all actually don't know if we'll ever see this type of thing again, which is sort of the fun thing when it comes to this Hublot stuff. I do think it's kind of amusing that we have completely turned a blind eye to how often brands are using plastic and charging huge amounts of money. And look, I get it. It's not like off the shelf, plastic. They have to do special blends and things like that, but they're using every poetic way they can to not say it's plastic, right? Composite just means a blend of other stuff. Okay, I get that. What stuff? It's plastic. And my concern is that plastic can scratch. The better ones don't yellow over time, meaning they don't discolor. But Hublot has been doing this for a while. This is not new. Ever since Bivero was on board, like the middle section of a lot of the big banes was essentially plastic. They'd call it resin or something like that. It's actually a very practical material. It bends a little bit. It can age well. If it's not subject to, it's sort of in the middle, so it's not going to be scratched. So I don't want people to become too accustomed to spending too much for plastic. Let's call it what it is. I also would probably want a sapphire crystal instead of the Gorilla Glass. But I don't care if it's a bit heavier. So again, it's an interesting kind of concept watch. I like it for those reasons. But we all have a lot of questions like, how many more Hublot watches in the future are going to get this type of treatment?
Yeah. Guy?
So the more that I look at it, the more I like it, actually. I 100% disagree with Ariel about, I think it's great to make a watch using trash, which and using Djokovic as trash is
it does support your brand, Guy. That's true. It's very it does. It's very supportive.
It's a $50,000 D trash.
Yeah,
it's a $50,000 D trash. Exactly.
You're not reaching high enough, Guy. You need to value your trash more.
Guy, I can send you some of my old clothes. Do you want to repurpose? Yeah, just mulch it up with some epoxy resin.
Right, okay. Everyone get a layer off now. Come on, let's send it all together.
Start going through the trash at celebrities' houses and you can have some of the same stories.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but I think that's really good. And also, I think if you think about, diamonds are valuable because they're rare in theory. Like, there is a rarity to using one of Djokovic's old rackets or his old clothes. And that's what you've got. Oh, you just had up. So I like that. I really like that element of it. There's better watches made of trash out there, but I
But
like
would it
that.
not have been
And
more valuable to make the watch just out of plastic and send you a framed, signed Djokovic old shirt and an
just
old
think
tennis
that's the
racket?
boring way to do it, and this is way more inventive.
Included with the watch and 4 straps are a wristband and a polo shirt signed by Djokovic. So you do also get additional signed clothing items, and along with his actual sweaty implements.
How are
Yes.
they making any money?
But and also, I think, can everyone just appreciate? I love the tennis ball colored button is amazing, and they've changed the screw. I think they've changed the screws
Yeah,
to make
they
them
did.
like tennis bally. And well done them for doing that, because I think that's like one of those details they didn't have to do that makes it look really cool. I just quite like it. I mean, and I can't believe I'm saying this,
It's neat
but
looking.
it's quite a good price for what it is. Like,
Okay, Guy, can we take
I
drugs?
wouldn't buy one, but like, I'd buy it over. I'd spend 50 grand on this over the AP at 200. Like, I think this has a proper.
You'd get more wearing time out of the Hublot.
One
for
thing
sure.
to appreciate is, since the brand isn't using its standard 8-shaped screws, presumably they had to fabricate another tool with that wave line thing and the domed profile to open the watch up and make it. So there's also that.
Somebody else makes screws that shape, though, do they not?
With the little S line with the domed head?
There's probably something like that out there.
There is another brand that does this for all their screws that like. No, it's not FPG. There is a brand somewhere that I have seen this screw shape before.
There's been similar stuff. It's true.
Somebody else does this. Yeah, so there you go.